Hard times build character.
This isn't just a show, this is real life. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish.
You gotta see it before anyone else can see it.
Every second, every minute, every day.
We train for life. We got you.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Relentless Way podcast, season number 3. Paul Alvier here with my longtime friend and business partner, Matt Strout. As always, we're here to attack and crush the last episode of the season. We're gonna round it off very nice with bringing everything together, bringing everything home. For episode 13, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. We're going to jump right into the journey and the vision and reframe everything for all of our listeners that have been listening for the first 12 episodes. As you know, if you go back to episode 1 of the season, our goal was to really paint the picture of our vision, of the compound, of where Relentless wants to be ultimately and wants to be operating and continuing changing lives, right?
Yeah, very well said. And, the title, if you know, or if you've been around us for, in person or in action or at the facility or seeing us do some work, that quote definitely rings loud throughout. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. It's something that we carry through, because the reality is just about everybody starts strong, but then the difference is who could turn it up and finish out strong. So I think as we do sit here and reflect on this specific season of the podcast, which, the first 2 were great, but it got us going, it got us moving. And I think our intention for this season, we really did do what we set out to do. And I think it was to really paint the picture for everybody, and it's almost like repaint the picture, right? Even like for ourselves, I think it was cool for us to go through this process and to see how all of these things were able to stay on track. They evolve, they shift, they change, they manipulate a little bit along the way, but like the overall mission and brand that we stood for from day one is still going 10 years later. Mm-hmm. And the ability now to attract so many different people from different walks of life now that want to join and aid in that movement, which we're seeing now even more than ever than we started this season. Mm-hmm. So that's something we can bring up as well, because the energy is high, the momentum is strong, and I think it's obviously it's really cool to see and to feel, but I think the coolest part about that is to see how others want to join on to it. And I think that part for us is like scalability, right? So it's like we have this. How do we keep scaling but never lose touch with that same purpose, vision, and mission of who we were when we were young? The same intention in our minds of always operating within good morals and good ethics, but then also competing, and like we always say, doing it first for the people, to give the people the best product that they deserve, but then at the same time also doing it for ourselves to be, men of our word and follow through and do what we set out to do from day one. Right. So that it feels good.
Yeah, I wanna bring up to speed and bring back to life some of our guests from this season to get us going a little bit and to talk about the perspective that they brought and the purpose and the reason, the reminder of why we brought a lot of these guests on, starting with one of our first guests of the season was Alexis Stimple, right? From the shoe fairy herself, episode 2 it was, and she was a great example and continues to be a great example of somebody that starts something and finishes it every time she does it. Every task, every day that she operates. She gave an awesome story during it wasn't really a story, but a stat of hers that she has made a vow when she started her business to not miss the day of posting on social media, because she knew how valuable that was to her company and her business, and she hasn't missed a day of posting. She's posted every single day that her business has been operating, no matter what it is. She's put something out there, which is a beautiful thing. Right?
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah. I mean, sure, we've known her, when I mean, we knew her from back in the day a little bit, vaguely. Like we know, if you listen to the podcast, you know that there's a little bit of tie from back in the town that we grew up. But we also have just also watched. We got to see her as she was like starting that process. So it's been cool to watch that growth. We love that in watching humans develop all around, right? But then true, entrepreneurship is obviously near and dear to our hearts. So when we could get someone who's young, hungry, motivated but intentful in her actions day in and day out like that, we love that to be around us. So from her work ethic inside the facility, when she's hitting up the boxing small groups or one-on-one, I also box her one-on-one, and she's a focused, intentful girl. She doesn't waste energy, time. She knows exactly what she wants, and she's not afraid to work hard to get it. So and it's when you spend time with individuals, like, there's that good old famous quote, like, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And it pretty much, we've been blessed to really also level up, let's say, in the people that we've been able to bring into our circle and spend time with and be able to pick brains. And most of the time, they're a lot older, wiser men or women that have been in life or in entrepreneurship or just have grown in extremely large amounts inside of a company as well, right? That's respectful too. And I think that's something that kind of almost glues all high-level individuals together. It's like they don't really waste time. They don't do anything unintentfully or like, they don't beat around the bush. It's like if they're going to do something, they're going to do it. They're going to do it to their full ability. They're going to get the lesson that comes with it, whether it's good or bad. They're going to pick up. They're going to reflect. And they're going to get it, and they're going to move forward. And it's like you could see now, the more and more that we hang with these different people that have that thought process, this is the thought process that we like to live by. It's also the thought process that we like to teach. It's problem solving, it's overcoming adversity, it's working to become better. So
something that came up yesterday in conversation, it was probably less than 12 hours ago, was talking about like not being afraid to go and ask a question, to call somebody, right? To insert yourself, to get information, to whatever it may be, pick up the phone, ask for help or ask for an opportunity, right? And Alexa, we both had experiences. Matt worked one-on-one with her training-wise, but outside of the facility and in the entrepreneur world, of moments where she would never be afraid to stop by while she's driving down Route 9 and to ask a question, have a conversation. And clear as day, when we were working on our venture of potentially building out the yoga studio, Relengthening Yoga, attached to Relentless, which we ended up segueing into someone else's hands. I remember working diligently inside of there, building the place out, and her like being a leech and following us around, asking questions about certain things because she was in critical points of building her business. So it's a awesome thing to be able for us to bring back and have them still give that perspective and energy and be able to tell that story out of the bottom of their heart for people to learn from, which brought us to our second guest of the season, which was taking the first step, our good friend Corey Weissman, our childhood friend, a stroke survivor. And if you didn't listen to that, go back and listen to episode 4. That was a great one. I think we could go on and on about our connection with him, but you need to go and listen to that and hear Matt, myself, and him. I'm just saying that because we've got a lot of great feedback from friends that have listened and be like, yo, you guys just vibe and connect because you're all boys. You know each other so well. From training to life to everything that we've, our experiences with Corey.
If you haven't seen the movie either, like we obviously urge you to listen to the podcast, get that connection, but if you haven't seen the movie, you have to watch the movie as well. I mean, it's a heartfelt, warm, beautiful story of just overcoming adversity, people coming together. It's the foundation of who we are, and it's amazing that they were able to put that together so well, too. It really does. It tells a really beautiful story. So I really recommend that to go check that out. But yeah, Corey is he's a beast. I mean, it's like it doesn't, it's not a surprise that he's one of our really tight boys because we like to keep our, a lot of our friends are all very like-minded type people, right? But he definitely he got knocked down real hard, right? But he got himself up and fought. So it's not surprising that he did that and he competed, but it's still amazing, So to hear his words, he really tells it beautifully, and he tells it to give back to others now too. And that's something that that's the gift of life, right? Like when you go through different adversities and experiences, and then go back around and give them, to just pick people up, to try to help people not make the same mistakes as you. Like that's what it's about, to serve others. So he's definitely doing his thing. We're very proud of him. So go out of your way to listen to that if you have not yet.
Our next, 2 episodes with guests were back-to-back, episode 7 and 8, when we talked about, the team spoke and the community spoke. We had Coach Brian and Coach Jerome with us, the Young Bucks. 20 is the new 30 was our title, which was pretty fun. And then following them up was our community. It was Karen Farrell and Kara Rubin, 2 parents, relentless members, contributors to the world and to life, and they're just two great people. So definitely go back and check those out for sure, to hear the internal of our community and our team speaking.
Yeah, and the Brian and Drew was an amazing episode to see the diversity and the ability to allow the free thinking. To allow our young bucks, like we like to call them, to be free, to find their passions, and to be just wherever you are, be there. It's a Navy SEAL quote, which I love because it's so simple, but it's so real. Like, wherever you are, be there. And that means holds much more weight to them because it's life or death experiences, and they need to be so present in the militant, the Navy SEAL especially background. But, that's also what we're teaching. There's a certain level at which we just want to operate as humans. And, I think that's really cool to see because it's carrying inside of their hearts no matter where they go. So whether they are at family parties or they're out in the world, these kids are coming back and telling me stories that make me proud.
Right.
All of them are. Whether it's out at the bar and seeing some stuff that they shouldn't be getting a part of and being able to step away and be adults. Maybe not the same way that even Paul and I did when we were younger, right? But going back and saying, walk away. It's cool. That's the bigger man, or be cool. Things of that. Or going and working in another profession, but when you're there, do that, right? Whether it is finance or security, like we spoke upon with Brian and Drew, but then when you're here, be here, right? It's just be the best version of yourself, whatever hat that you're wearing. Something cool as well is, Brian has decided to step away from the opportunity that he was taking working with the medical hospital style of security, but he gave it a go, he gave it his full self, and he's decided to personally step away from that. He's going to be venturing into his own personal security venture himself, but then also going head in full speed at Relentless. So he stepped up dramatically in Relentless, and we're excited for that because we want that. The age number is not really something crazy that we get lost in. It's more how do you carry yourself? How do you conduct yourself? How do you uphold the brand of Relentless? And obviously he's younger, but he's also been in different positions of leadership, and he knows how to carry himself, and he knows how to uphold the line, okay? And he is doing that extremely well, and we're excited for this next venture to be able to bring him along and to have him by our side to truly represent the brand. So very proud of them, and as well as we got a couple other young bucks that are picking up steam as well heavily. So next season we'll definitely have some more on as well. We look forward to that.
From our team for sure. 2 of my favorite to kind of cap off leading up to episode 13 today was episode 11 and 12. It was interesting for me. They were my favorite because they were 2 like-minded men at the way they operate and the way that they approach life, but maybe have taken different paths. And back-to-back episodes, we were able to see that that's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to take your own path, and not one path is beaten in the same fashion, right? And that was Matt Giuliano with eXp Realty, who's a real good friend of ours. His journey, just from being a studious and scholastic-driven individual and getting his education, following those steps, and then venturing out to different sectors in the world, from fashion to banking to real estate, and eventually ending up in, from commercial real estate and eventually ending up in residential real estate. It's just fun to listen to some of the, I say fun, and in the moments I'm sure it wasn't the most fun for him, but to listen to his story and right. How he keeps chucking away, and he's ready for the next wrench to be thrown at him. And same goes for Mark, the superintendent from Upper Freehold Regional Schools. He was on our last episode, and this is a man with a family, and he had a plan, he had something in his mind, and he did take that different route, right, of the education and his master's, and eventually going from a school teacher to a principal to a superintendent. But at the same time, if you really listen closely, he didn't take the same route that anyone else would, because there is no same route. You know, he really he taught us in this episode a lot of like you could be in that world, you could be in the public sector, and you could be different, and you could be innovative, and you could still give off love and passion and energy and teach and help people grow, but you don't have to be that straight line and just not that he doesn't do what he's told, but you don't have to just follow what the man says, for lack of better words. He really, and it's just, I think you just have to be built that way a little bit. He definitely is. He comes from the family and the upbringing he comes from is a great story. From his adopted siblings and just their journey and the perspective that he gained from his family. So definitely go back. We just overviewed a lot of our guests because we want to remind everyone the perspective that's still out there, that these episodes don't go away. Go back and listen. Or go back to season 1. Send them to your friends, send them to your family. If you think this could help change anyone's day, anyone's week, their life in general, please share. Please send it over to them, because that's what we are doing. We're bringing perspective to our community and to the world. We started the season off just laying the groundwork, about how we started to deliver, how we got into what we got into, and why, what our mission is, and where we ultimately want to end up, at the compound. So, to repaint that picture a little bit, we're remember from episode 1 to episode 13 now, we're still out there to change the game.
I just want to add 2 cents real quick before about the women that we had on as well. Just to speak on the community, I'm just going to add my 2 cents on those last 3 guests real quick. But the women dramatically represent, like Paul said, who we are internally, but then also in their own personal lives. And the ability for us to get them on and to be able to step up and speak was something different for them. So we're proud that they were able to do that. Number 1, to give them a cool, different experience. But then also it was kind of cool for them to almost like speak out loud, but then after, as we reflected, like the experience to kind of like to almost step back and be proud of yourself too. And I think there's a cool lesson there once in a while for everybody to not be afraid once in a while to like take a step back and just stop and reflect on everything, because life is very fast. And those 2 women live a fast life. They're very involved in they're between their families, their children, just everything's going quickly. But like, I think we were able to do that for them, and it was cool. So like after, when we went back and spoke to them on it, it was a moment where they really got to almost like it's like watching yourself speak in a way, and then going back and being able to listen. So I just want to say that was a cool experience. We are super proud of them, but then at the same time for everybody is, don't be afraid once in a while to stop for a second, reflect, and be proud of yourself. When you reflect, the way to reflect is always to reflect on where you are today to where you were. Not where you are today to where you want to be. It's important to understand that, but don't get lost in this. Stop, reflect where we are today to where we were. So that's that. Again, the men were unbelievable. Matt G, Mark, just great energy, great dynamic in a sense of not being able to be overly construed or swayed into one direction or the other, and just truly following their dreams, their passion, and letting hard work, dedication, and work ethic follow through and get them to where they need to be. And now to come back here to talk about the compound again, it feels just as real, if not better, than episode 1 when we first spoke about it, right? And I think it feels much better, honestly. So where we are today is a position of, all this time, the energy, the moments of like really dissecting who we are and what we stand for over this past 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, has really just grown. And the weakest link, like you're only strong as your weakest link, right? And I think the weakest link right now is like so close. Like the gap between, from like Paul and myself, who 10 years in and have this dream and vision, to like the person that's most recently added. I think it's really cool to see how close knit everybody is, and that these lines now are not so far apart. And on top of that, people are looking to reach out and want to join the movement even more. So all this does is allow that culture of who we are and our core values that really define us, to just keep amplifying and to know that that's the line drawn in the sand. And now as people come around and they start hanging out and they're hitting their coach and training process of shadowing and seeing, Paul and I can know that no matter whether we're there or not there, the line is drawn and it's being upheld. And that's a very special feeling. It's a proud feeling. And we're going to continue to grow and learn and evolve. We're always looking for different feedback in that way. But it's it comes down to true dedication to leadership, understanding that you must lead by example. You must constantly be open-minded, and we try to do that every day. And that's what this is as well. Like, this isn't us, it's all of us, And I think more than ever, we get the opinions, the interjections, the ideas, because our team's not afraid to give them. We don't ever want to, we're not dream killers or stoppers. It's like, no, let's all talk and figure this out, and then could we speak on experiences and say, listen, that's cool, but we tried something like this and it just didn't work. So if you want to take all this information and make it your own, let's try that out too, right? So I think that part where we're at right now is really cool to see all of the intentful brainstorming and thinking coming from, like I said, ourselves always, but now all the way down to the most newest member of the team that just sees the big vision and picture and wants to add to it and stir the pot. Yeah. So,
and the biggest part about building that part of our community, the team, was from the start. We'll graze through the dichotomy of our welcoming or giving opportunity for people to join the team, but it started with giving. Anyone that wanted to be a part of it, hop on board, jump on with us. It's 2012. We're opening these doors. We're going to fill it with equipment. We're going to figure out how to attack our vision and our mission, right? And then we go through times of being protective because we built this baby over 4 or 5 years, and we feel like it is where it needs to be right now, and we don't want to damage anything. We don't want to hurt anybody. We want to teach, we want to give, we want to learn ourselves, but at the same time, everything's good. Everything's where it needs to be, right? It was it's almost like getting to when you get to you're hiking and you get to the first peak, right? The first point of the mountain, and it's the color's still green on the trail, right? You're not at red yet, you're not at blue, you're not at black. And then you start climbing a little more and you realize, okay, I got to put those guards down. I got to open it up, and who knows what avenue I'm going to take, and who knows how I'm going to get there. So let's keep the floodgates open again. Let's start adding to the team, and when I say to the team, I mean the community as well. I speak about both in these words. Is that that's the same thing? Give that person an extra session, give them the extra hour, that added phone call, conversation, whatever it may be. Just give that out to the potential client or member, or someone that maybe is in the community right now and that is slipping a little bit. They're struggling inside or outside of the facility, right? So that brings us to where we're at now, and the full circle, the full 360 of it, because we're right back where we started as far as at the mode and where our mindset is of letting people in. We're hiring full speed. We're, a lot of it had to also do obviously with the build back after the pandemic a little bit, and just making sure we got through that and kept ourselves in a great place. But we're seeing in this world now so much opportunity come back out, so much diversity be available, and as Matt always says, he talks about the free world and the ability to operate with freedom, the ability to be a relentless coach and do something you love in the finance world, in the real estate world, whatever it may be. And most importantly, the relentless standards are accepting that more than ever, and it's a great feel, and it's a great place for us to reflect back to from just not only the whole journey, but episode 1 of this season of what we talked about, of how we were opening the doors to build our community and team, right?
Nah, it is cool, and it's a short period. I mean, I think one thing too is the ability for us to expedite time as well. Now the ability to open up our minds, try new things, and then you can see how fast things can come and can turn. There's a lot of good things that did come from the pandemic, although it was a crazy time in the world, but something that, Paul and I have already, in the beginning of time, we already just dedicated ourselves to our dream and our belief, and obviously at that time it was definitely, it was much more rare and different in a sense, but I think the pandemic really rattled people, but it made them appreciate life and to understand how fast life can shift, life can change. And there's a quote, I might mess it up a little bit, but it's like, everybody's dying, but not everybody's living, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, eventually you're all going to die, but we're not all living, right? So the one big turn I see in the world and just energy is that people are not afraid to go out and, whether it be take a little financial hit to build themselves into their passion, to be able to then create like financial freedom, or be able to create the ability to make money for themselves in something that they love. And it is possible. It's out there. If you're good at something, if you love something, if you have passion for it, people invest in people now more than ever. People want to feel connected to people. People like to see when someone is truly dedicated to their craft. And to have that in the world right now is beautiful, number one. But then on number two, the other side of that is how important people are now taking just overall wellness, right? We like to say the ability to define wellness is mental, physical, emotional. It's the whole human. And now more than ever, that is seen. It's not like, I always like to say aesthetics are in addition to, right? Aesthetics are important because we all want to feel good and look good when you look at yourself, but it's in addition to feeling better mentally and emotionally. And now I think the world wants to go to that next level of taking care of themselves, and they understand that it's not just a quick fix or the overnight. It's this longevity. It's healthy. It's making these healthy eating choices. It's drinking your water. It's going for your walks. It's educating your mind. And people now understand that it is a process, and to live in the moment and to enjoy these moments, because these are the moments that teach us that for the next moments, And I think to see those two things and to be a part of that already now, where we are, we're self-made in the sense of just going out there and figuring it out every day of our lives, but then also being in that overall wellness, human development space, and bringing those two things together right now is beautiful. So I do believe that we already had a sign on the wall, we trained for life, before the pandemic, so we already were on this mission. I think it helped us grow and evolve and build it up even more. And I think what has gone on and taken place inside of the world has only helped create awareness and to bring it towards people like what we're trying to do, let's say, in the whole industry. But as you know, we are competing to be the ultimate answer in the industry, and we're going to keep doing that every single day. So,
and along the journey, a lot of things that we're learning is about the ability to reframe and the ability to kind of restructure, as Matt has touched on a lot. And one thing that we did do numerous times, it's constant reminders about training for life, right? It's life, 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 and that's what that's what stands in the middle of all. In the complete core of the Relentless movement is a lot of life, a lot of people, a lot of energy. It's real, right? Matt, we talk about the aesthetics, and of course that's real. That's a byproduct and something that comes with all the training we do, all the mental barriers that we put in front of us, all the obstacles, the trials and tribulations. But what I like to go back to is the reason we started the entire podcast is someone's life, right? Is Corey. And you go back to episode 1, season 1, when we made that transition from our mindset discussion groups all the way to our podcast to now season 3. And I bring this up only because what I recognized a couple days ago when I was working with a client inside the facility is that a large percentage of the time, real conversation and the real purpose to someone's mission is brought to the surface because of these perspectives that are brought to the table. And in this situation, the perspective that was brought to the table was a similar scenario of Corey's journey of his life and the way he lived. And literally in our facility, we have Corey's boxing gloves, his wraps on the wall, and a plaque in memory of him, and he's always in mind when we punch the clock and open those doors every day. And what I'm getting at is a lot of times it takes someone looks up at that wall, and they see that up there, and it's a question of like, hey man, what's that about? Like what was what happened to him? What's he like? And then you talk about it, you tell the story, and you realize that this shit is real and it's out there and it's life. And then you start really learning about this individual and what makes them tick that's in front of you. And that allows us as leaders, as coaches, and as a community to help each other even more, right? And to really truly know what's behind what we're doing every day inside and outside of the Relentless facility.
Yeah, I mean that's a powerful thing right there.
And we when I bring up reframing, that was step one of when we did the reframing of our minds, of saying we got to make sure we stay on training for life, right? And making sure we keep our physical, mental, and emotional being always clear and relentless, right? But then it's many points along the journey of on the lesser end, and not specifically one individual's life, but the team, right? The oxygen that's being pumped into the team, of reframing our standards, our core values, our systems, whatever it is. You have to work day in and day out to fine tune every section of your brain, of your body, of your life, right? And that's what it's about. It's about just tightening, using your tools to tighten up those screws, to tighten up those bolts every single day, taking care of it like you would your home, like you would your car, like you would your baby, like you would whatever is in front of you that you truly care about. It's you, right?
Yeah, I mean it's deep and it's good. I really enjoy that right there, and it's well said. I think over time we had to learn. It was not easy, but we learned how to find Corey's experience as a blessing to us because of the space that we were in. We learned so much from that, and it never kind of goes away forever. You'll always think it's an experience that just suicide is a very it's a mind-blowing thing. Like you can get lost in it, And I think, but the blessing that I had to take and we took over time together was that is real, and this is happening, and it happens. The mental battle that goes on day in and day out in all of us is real, and I think. But the blessing to be connected to someone now, to take that now, like Paul says, and to put it up there and to honor him, to honor his life, and to never forget the severity of the mind and how strong it is, but then to also use it as a tool. And the lesson is that, unfortunately, that was a permanent solution to temporary problems, like whatever, and all problems are temporary, right? And they can be worked through and they can be worked on, but unfortunately, that's, he is at peace now, so he's at peace. But the reminder to see that, it's a good thing that not everybody has been touched closely by suicide, but like I said, it definitely messes with your mind. But to be able to put that up, to honor him, but then to also give that light and that perspective to people, when people do see it and they say wow, it really hits home to any human being, and either they have some sort of relatability, which is a little bit rarer, or they just it opens them up. They're just wow, they ask questions, they want to learn, and what that does though is it educates humans, and it lets them know that is out there and it is real, but who we are and what we do is to remind you that, and then to know where to go, and to know that you have the team, you have each different team member here that could always step up. Like we like to say, we could celebrate the highs, but then also pick you up on the lows. So not everybody always has people to pick you up. It's easy to live on the high, right? Oh, it's good. When everything's good, it's good. But when you come down on a low and you're down, it's a fact that not everybody has people in their lives that know how to pick them up, and know how to bring them. So I think that's what we want to bring to the table now more than ever, is to be that place. And again, we come back to the compound. That's what the compound will be. The compound will just be an amplified version of that. It will be a safe haven. It will be a place where people can go and spend time. There'll be grounds there. You could walk through, you could hang out, you could be outside in nature, you could spend hours there if you want, And I think that means more than ever now because of the weight that we carry and the people that we have behind us and how they already look at the facility that we have now. We take it very seriously. It's 3,000 square feet. It's our compound. But eventually when you see the compound in the mind that we create in reality, you're going to be like, whoa, all right, this is what they were talking about. Yeah. And it will only just amplify everything. It'll just
that much more valuable.
Right? So it's lessons on lessons on lessons. They don't stop. You got to keep opening up to them. You have to be open for them. You have to keep evolving through them, and then you have to try to take all of these things and apply them and put them out into the world and just get better through them.
Man, one thing we've been really talking about a lot, whether it's new coaches we're bringing on board or people that we've been potential coaches we've been interviewing, or our team right now, talking to them and our clients, is just continuing to grow intentfully, and most importantly for us in the Relentless movement is keeping the core of education and our passion and committing to excellence every day, at the center of what we do. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but just keep going back to that. Is there's something to be said about waking up every morning, and opening your eyes and being grateful and humble and blessed of what the opportunity that we have to be alive, number one, but also to now not just settle with that, right? And not just just say, all right, that's how I'm gonna start, because it's not just how you start, it's how you finish, but it's also important to get started and get going and fill in the meat in the middle of your day and everything you do with a purpose, and it's tough because there's I think the span and the journey could seem so different, because there's so much out there nowadays. Like, you look on TV shows, on social media, movies you're watching, you sit there for an hour, it's an hour and a half, depending on what you're doing. If it's a movie, some people social media 2 hours, 3 hours, right? And you sit there and you see all these things, and you really got to filter it more than ever. You really have to have that strong mentality and that strong brain and mindset. It's not like, when we were younger back in the day, for some of our listeners, where you just, turn on the tube and you're watching the Brady Bunch and it's simple, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, here it is,
mindless.
But it's okay though. Like we're not going to change it. That's where it's going. But just understand what you're looking at. Take a deep breath sometimes, step back, and just truly dissect and look at the reality of what you're watching, and don't get sucked into that stuff, It's a challenging thing to do, and it's just another thing on our plate as human beings every day. But there's also so much positivity and beautiful things and systems and networks that are mixed and weaved in between all this stuff. So don't lose sight of that either, That there's still ways within there where you could build your knowledge and your passion through it all and still get things done. Sometimes it's not about the time, it's about the moment, right? It's not about how long of the time, it's about the value of the moment and how locked in what you're doing with it, I always say, like, sometimes it's better off, we're like, I'm going to be doing this, but we'll still grab that meeting and throw our headphones in, right? Well, how important is that meeting? Where is that on the level? Is it more important for you to put time aside, or maybe move it to another time where you have more time to be intentful and be purposeful and not multitask, right? There's times where multitasking could be good, it could be great, and there's times where it can't, So just for me, working towards the you got to be careful. We don't like to say the finish line, because there's no finish. There's no true end, right? It's not. We're not working towards the end.
Yep.
You used a good analogy yesterday when we were talking. It's like we're not at the peak. We're not at the top. Or we're at our current pinnacle or something.
I wanted to say pinnacle, but I said you can't say pinnacle, because pinnacle means that the definition. Someone corrected me, which I'm grateful for. My clients really trying to help me and make me better. But a vocabulary word, shout out to my girl Barbara, but a vocabulary at the pinnacle, the true definition is at the highest peak, which means inevitably it will come down. Right. So I used to say we're at the pinnacle, but I don't want to ever be at the pinnacle, because we ain't never coming down. So I said that we were just, something along the lines of just operating the best we've ever had. Really. That's it. Like we're just flowing and we're efficient, but it's more of just this steady uphill climb that will never stop.
And that's finishing strong to us. Like it's about direction.
Yes.
Right. It's about direction. It's the direction we're going is constantly up and at it, and that is what this episode is about. It's building everything up as we brought everyone's minds, and I could imagine how we're all feeling with our headphones in right now and listening, and the energy that we're feeling right now. Maybe some of us are getting some chills, and that's all good. And now it's a reminder that for the young guns that are listening and maybe getting their journeys, just kind of getting churning a little bit, and they're getting through their high school years and their college years, and they're finding themselves out. You remember these moments, remember these perspectives that you hear, not only from us, but from all the information that you're getting around your life and around your day. For the in-betweens and the people that are punching the clock and going to work and busting their asses every day, same thing, and those that have been through life and that have probably a lot, just as much to offer for us. Give, continue to give out, continue to absorb and listen, and keep your ears open and bring perspective to everyone's day, including your own. So this is how we all work together in that direction and towards the finish line, right? We're constantly working towards the finish line of our life. You know what I mean?
And if you don't know, like Paul and myself, we wake up every day, like he said, and we're attacking life. Like we're working. Every moment counts. We want to make ourselves better. We want to make better experiences. And like we're having fun though. Like this is the other thing. So if you're listening and if you don't know anyone that's having fun attacking life, like go out of your way to find them. If we are them, find, call us, connect with us more. But like be in that energy. Like energy is important. There's a good old saying like, if you hang out with 5 criminals, you're going to be the 6th. If you hang out with 5, wealthy, hardworking, like-minded individuals, you will be the 6th. So, like, as you get older, you have to start deciding what you're being around, who you're around, the things you're consuming. Everything needs to be intentful because if the reality is we're so influential day in and day out by everything. We don't realize it, but it's true. So, like, when you see the energy is different, like the energy is different. Like come inside the facility and feel it. Like Paul said, even now more than ever, it's a pulse. It's heavy. It's like a heartbeat that's beating so strong and full. But to be around that is a special thing. So again, if you're away at school, get the podcast, get us on social media. We could link up on FaceTimes. Like we're getting into that world more than ever where we truly desire, we call it performance coaching, but we desire in helping people to perform in life better in any way, whether it is harnessing yourself at school and trying to help focus and lock you down on education and or sports and or social and like helping to tie that together for the young bucks. Or if you're in the middle of your life and you're looking for a career change and a shift up and you need help and guidance to kind of be like, no, it's okay. You're never too old. Like wherever that is for you, this is what we're looking to do and we want to stay connected. And energy is big for us. So, we're not afraid now more than ever, especially to get on the FaceTime and to talk and feel that energy and to give that energy back and forth because it goes a long way. Something else I want to add as proud leaders, a lot of the books that we read, I read a lot of Jocko books on leadership, but one of the things he talks about is the ability to, as the leaders of the leaders, I like to say we're leaders of leaders because our coaches are all leaders, right? But we're the leaders of the leaders. We now more than ever can detach. So for example, if we're all on a rowboat, the idea that we all work for on the boat is to be able to have 1 or 2 leaders that can come away from the active boat and get up high to the top to see out and detach. Because that's how you can detach from the trenches. You don't detach not knowing and staying connected, but you need to go up and out and see the big picture so that you could come back down and say, all right, guys, I need you to row a little bit stronger here. I need you to row a little bit less so we can take a turn. And then you got to go in. You got to be able to come back down. But the cool part about it is like everybody's rowing in the same direction right now. And the really cool part is that Paul and I don't need to come down and go over and be like, hey, stop for a second. You're rowing in the wrong direction. The guys on the boat now, the guys and girls on this team, are not afraid to look back and say, yo, you're rowing in the wrong direction. And only for the good intention of everybody, for themselves, for the other teammate, and for the big picture of the ship. So that is the most beautiful thing to watch of how more than ever, Paul and myself can detach. We can assess, see that 30,000 square foot big picture view of what we're doing and to make sure that from the big vision down, these day-to-day small details are constantly adding and compounding and stacking to get here. Because if they're not, we got to go back down and say, all right, guys, we got to change this. And details matter. Little things always add up to big things. So it's a very proud moment. And it's exciting because you can see now what's going to happen from here. This is the moments and the dreams that we have and we talk about, but you can feel it now. Now it's becoming a reality. So, so for everybody out there, again, to understand that it's okay to see it in your head first. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to write it down. It's okay to put it out. But you got to back it up with action, with hard work, work ethic, with never quit, never giving up mentality, to be relentless in the pursuit of whatever it is you desire. And with that, you can achieve anything. But you must first believe in yourself, and then you get surrounded with like-minded individuals that go to work every day that you can look at any moment. If I'm down, I look over and he's just like gives me a nod and we're like, all right, let's get it. Let's go back in. Like, that's what you need. So if you don't have that, we urge you to, again, the community, share this, spread the word, get it out there, reach out. We are looking to get connected more than ever with people in real life and or FaceTimes digitally, remotely, whatever we need. But the goal is to get that mission and that brand out to the world.
Mm-hmm. And that's how we finish right there, folks. It's not how we start, it's how we finish. Episode 13, season number 3 of the Relentless Way podcast. Please continue to share, continue to spread the word, spread the love. If you want to be a part of this in any way, you have ideas, you want to help out, you would like to be a guest, or you know a guest that would be able to deliver great perspective, please reach out and let us know. We're checking out. We'll see you back towards the fall for season number 4, the Relentless Way podcast. Paul Alvier and Matt Strout here.
Let's keep getting it.